My name is Josh Pagel. I'm a licensed insurance agent at Winnebago RV Insurance. Now, our parent company, you'll see on my card, we're FCIS Insurance. We're just up the street here on 4th Street, right in town. So Winnebago RV Insurance is just our branding with our partnership with Winnebago right here. But we've been around for 40 plus years, specializing in RV insurance. And really the goal of today is just to help educate you guys on specifically RV insurance, but some insurance in general. I realize insurance isn't always everyone's favorite topic, but that's where we try and come in as an independent agent to help you guys understand insurance and help you guys make that process a little easier and a little simpler to help you understand. So again, kudos to you guys for coming out today. Thank you so much for giving this some of your time. And so, yeah, we want to try and educate you on just RV insurance and the coverage and the options are available. And then just so you guys can be comfortable and confident in making the insurance decision, whether that does make sense to purchase insurance with us, or maybe you realize, you know, we have a great policy now and we don't need to make any changes. We want to help you guys, again, become comfortable and confident in the insurance coverage that you have and what you're paying for it. There's going to be kind of three parts to today's seminar. We're going to talk about just who we are as an independent agency and what we bring to the table. We'll talk about different insurance factors, what goes into determining your insurance rate. And then we'll get into the quote here that I handed out. This is just a sample quote with one of our carriers. And we'll get into some of the RV specific coverages that may be familiar to you, or some of them may be new to you. All right, so talking first about just who we are as an independent agency. So again, we've been specializing in RV insurance for 40 plus years. And we do much more than just RV insurance. We insure home, autos, boats, umbrella policies, motorcycles, but RV has always been just our bread and butter, our area of expertise. All right, we represent multiple insurance companies. So again, as an independent agent, we try and shop you with multiple companies to see who's going to give you the best rate. The companies we try and look at are going to be Nationwide, Progressive, Safeco, National General, and Foremost are the 5 companies that specialize in RV insurance that we try and quote you with. All right. Each of these companies, they insure your RV on a specialty RV policy. So not just on a regular auto policy like some other companies do, but it's on a specific RV policy. All right. We're a relatively small agency, so there's only about 20 of us on our personal lines team. We're all on a first name basis. If you call in and say, I heard some guy at the seminar, I think his name was Josh, they'll say, I know exactly who Josh is, and they'll get you right over to me. I'm the lead on our sales team. So we have a sales team and then a customer service team, about 20 of us total. So we try and bring some personal customer service, whether you're on the quoting process or you're a customer of ours. We really try and bring some personal customer service to the table. We're not a huge call-in agency. We don't have hundreds of employees. If you call the company directly, the insurance company, you probably won't talk to the same person twice. Or if you're with a huge agency, again, most likely you won't talk to the same person twice. So we try and bring just some personal customized service on a first name basis with our agency. Yes. Yes, the names of the 5 companies again. Yeah, Nationwide, Progressive, Safeco, National General, and then Foremost. Foremost is owned by Farmers. So those are the 5. Yep. All right. If you have any questions throughout the way, get my attention. I'll try and answer it as best I can, real time. If I can't answer it, I can get your information and get back to you. But feel free, if you have any questions along the way, go ahead and ask it as we go here. So we are licensed nationwide. So we're licensed in every single state except Hawaii. So if there's anyone from Hawaii here, we can't insure customers in Hawaii. But if you're in any other state, we can insure you, at least provide you with some quotes. And that also makes it helpful if you ever make a move from state to state. You usually need to get new insurance in the state that you move to, so we can help you make that transition. If you ever move from state to state, we can re-quote you in that new state that you're moving to and provide you with quotes and continue your insurance with us if you make a move from one state to the other. We have another thing that we bring to the table, we have an in-house claims manager in our agency. So while we would place you with the insurance company would be the first to respond. You would call the company if you needed to make a claim. They would send out the adjuster, look at the damage, and start the claim process with the company. But if you ever need additional assistance in the claims process, we have an agent on staff within our agency that can help step in if needed. Now, this doesn't always happen. Most of the claims go pretty smoothly. Sometimes you do need some extra assistance if you need to get in contact with your adjuster again, or if you're just not receiving the level of assistance in the claim as maybe you expected, or maybe there is some confusion in the claim. We have a claims manager that works at our agency, not for an insurance company, but at our agency that can help step in, that we can get you in contact if you need extra assistance in a claim. So that's another piece that we bring to the table that, again, a lot of other agents just don't have available. So as an independent agent, I'd like to talk quick again what that means. An independent agent, we can quote you with multiple companies. We're like a broker. There's a third type, or a second type, called a captive agent. A captive agent is going to be like a Geico or State Farm. You still have an agent, but they are only going to insure you with that one company. They can only quote you with just the one company. They don't have agreements to quote you with multiple companies. So that's a captive agent. That's not what we are. We're an independent. And then kind of your third option when you're shopping insurance is you can skip the agent altogether and you can go directly to the company. We've been seeing that more and more, and there's some pros and cons to that, but especially with RV insurance or any specialty insurance, if you have classic car, anything that's kind of that's not just a regular automobile or your regular home, we've seen a lot of holes when customers try and go directly with an insurance company. And that is available. You can do that on your RV. We've just seen time and time again that either the service isn't there, the level of expertise, or even just the coverage. One example, we had a customer that they insured with us. They had a travel trailer insured with us with one of our companies, and the company lets the customer manage their policy. Again, there's some pros and cons with that, but the customer sold the travel trailer, they purchased a motorhome, and the customer went online and they added the motorhome to their travel trailer policy. And I can't blame the customer because the company allowed them to do that. When the customer called us a week later with a question, we realized you need a motorhome policy. This insurance company has separate policies for a motorhome and a travel trailer. They were driving around without any liability on their motorhome. And so just things like that, that's not your fault, that's not the customer's fault, but things that the insurance company tries to make easier for the customer, but us as the agent, we can really help you guys when it comes to, again, moving states or trading a vehicle or getting quotes on other products, especially more of a specialized RV policy that we really want to try and help you guys with. And that's, please come to us. If you're a customer with us, call us and we want to help you make those changes and answer any questions that you have. We've had other stories of customers going to the company directly. We'll quote them with the same company and we can either get them coverage and they say the company didn't tell me I could get that coverage, or we can find them discounts that the insurance company, because these insurance companies have hundreds of employees and not all of them are trained on RV insurance. They're just used to working with auto and home 90% of the time, so that when they get an RVer, they don't know and understand the RV coverages like we do, and since we do this day in and day out. So as an independent agent, we're going to try and bring just that level of expertise, knowing RV insurance specifically, to the table, rather than if you're with a captive agent or if you go through the company directly. All right. Any questions so far? Otherwise, we'll keep moving to insurance factors, just some of the things that play into your rate. All right. So first of all, insurance is intended to cover a sudden accidental occurrence. Insurance is not intended to cover wear and tear. Insurance is not an extended warranty. So it's intended to cover a sudden accidental occurrence, hail damage, tree falling on the RV, if you're in a collision, that sort of thing. Insurance is also, it's intended to make you whole. All right, so if you were here and you had a total loss to your vehicle, insurance is intended to bring you back to where you were. Usually insurance is not intended to make you better than what you had. I'll get to a piece of coverage in a little bit here that we'll talk about that, but usually insurance is just intended to make you whole, to bring you back to where you were at. All right. And there's many different factors that go into determining an insurance rate. These are mostly personal insurance factors. So insurance, we can't set our own rates. Those are set by the insurance company. They have to be approved by the Department of Insurance when the insurance company files, even for a rate increase in your specific state. But there's coverages and then discounts that all go in to finding you the best coverage and the best rate. but your marital status, your age, your driving history, what state you live in, your vehicle, the value of the vehicle, how you use the vehicle, even your credit score, all those things go into play into your personal insurance rate. One of the biggest rate factors, though, is the state that you live in. Most of the time, our insurance companies, they will rate you out of the state that you live in. They want to know most of the time where your vehicle is primarily kept, or garaged, they call it. And then that's going to be one of the primary ways we determine your rate. So that they're not too concerned with where the vehicle is registered, but they're primarily concerned with where the vehicle is primarily kept in that state. And that garaging, or that physical location state, is going to determine the rates in that state. The exception is with our full-time friends. If you're full-time in the RV, if you don't maybe have a home and you don't have a garaging address, then we have an accommodation for that, and we can rate you out of the registration state. We've also had customers come to us when they're full-time, and they've told us that they've tried to explain to their, maybe a local agent or their local company that they're full-time, and they might not know exactly what they mean by that, and they ask for a garaging address, and you don't have a garaging address. But we have accommodations for that. We insure lots of full-timers across the country, and we're used to working with full-timers, and we rate you out of the registration states. That's really the exception, is full-timers. Otherwise, we rate you out of the garaging state where your vehicle is primarily located. And then again, insurance is going to be a balance of coverage and price for the most part. And this is, again, something we try and bring to the table. We can generate a rate and just a cookie cutter price, but really we want to involve you in a conversation if you're interested in your insurance. And because that's going to look different for everyone. How important is coverage and how important is price? More coverage, more price; less coverage, less price. And what's expensive to you might not be expensive to me, or vice versa. So we want to just try and have that conversation and not just provide you with a cookie cutter insurance rate. We want to try and have a conversation of what coverage do you want, what's more important to you. Are you shopping really just to save money? Or are you shopping because you don't think you have enough coverage? And try and find a balance for you of what's important between balancing the coverage and the price. Because usually if coverage goes up, your price is usually going to go up, and vice versa too. So our goal isn't necessarily to get you the lowest price and to get you the least amount of coverage. That's not necessarily our goal. Our goal is to make sure if you have a claim that it's covered, right? That's what everyone wants. Is if you have a claim that the insurance is there to provide you with the coverage you thought you had, and that we can help you understand the coverage. And even if that means you understand maybe you don't have some coverage but you're willing to pay a lower price, again, we just want to make sure to try and educate you and have that conversation. If we can try and help you, we'll do our best. But that's really our goal, again, is to try and help and educate you and find that balance of coverage and price and see if we can help you do that. And then if you are a customer with us, we certainly want to make sure you understand the coverage you have and then the value that your insurance policy brings. That it's not just a monthly payment you're making from your bank account or an annual payment, but you understand the coverage. Any questions on those insurance factors? Otherwise, we'll move to the quote sheet here that I have. Any questions, though, on those insurance factors? All right. You got a quote sheet there, sir? I saw you came in. Okay, great. So this is just one of our companies, Progressive. I just printed off a quote with them, not because they're our favorite or not because they're always the best rate, but just because their quote, the quote sheet, it generates nice and clean, and they offer even some additional RV coverages that some other carriers don't offer, and I want to point those out to you towards the end. But Progressive is just one of our carriers. We've been insuring RVers with Progressive and our companies for 20 plus years, so Progressive, overall, they've been just a great company for our customers and specifically for RVers. Page one is pretty basic. It's just going to have your name, our agency name at the top left, your name, the customer's name, your address, and then it's just going to have some basic information, drivers in the household here at the bottom. So page one, pretty basic. Flip over to page two. That's where we're going to spend most of our time, on page two. Now this is a motorhome quote, so this is not a travel trailer or a fifth wheel. This is a motorhome. But off the bat, you'll see under general policy coverage, Progressive automatically throws in some coverage for what's called a trailer. This is something you're towing behind the motorhome. It could be a utility trailer, a tow dolly, or even a tow bar, something that's attached to the motorhome that's not permanently attached. They throw in $2,500 of coverage for anything you're towing behind the motorhome. So that's automatically included. The $2,500 of coverage, you can increase. A lot of these coverages you can increase. The coverages I use today are just some standard. A lot of these coverages, though, we can easily adjust and increase, again, that fit your needs and your budget. But that trailer is going to be automatically included on every Progressive motorhome policy. All right. Then you see the unit information. I quoted a 2023, a Winnebago View, one of the Class Cs. You'll see that garaging zip code. That's the rating zip code of where the vehicle is rated out of. Not your mailing address, usually not your registration address, but where the vehicle is physically located. Again, that's going to be that rating zip code of where the company is rating you out of, and the loss statistics in that specific zip code. The rating state, which is obviously Iowa, that matches the zip code. You'll see we have use listed. So that's one of the questions our insurance companies ask. How are you using the RV? We realize this is not just an automobile. We don't ask about mileage because you can be using the RV and not move a mile. But we want to know how many days are you going to be using the RV. The insurance company, they have some buckets. The 30 to 150 days, is you can see it's a pretty big bucket. That's where a lot of RVers fall. We have other buckets obviously too. But that's going to be one of the questions that we'll ask and discuss. How are you using the RV with you? You'll see then the purchase price. I'm going to reference page 3. We'll get to page 3 later on, but you can turn to page 3. Progressive will give you a definition of what they mean by your purchase price for this specific quote. All right, you can reference page 3. It's going to give you some definitions. We'll keep going on page 2, but you can look at page 3 and look at that definition of what they mean by purchase price and some other definitions that we'll talk about in a little bit. The length of the vehicle, and then we get into some standard coverage you're going to be familiar with even on your auto insurance. So your liability. You're going to find bodily injury liability on your auto insurance. Bodily injury is if you injure someone else with a vehicle and they sue you because you were at fault, how much your coverage you would have each per person and each accident, and then you have property damage liability. If you damage someone else's vehicle. Yeah, question in the back?
The purchase price says the purchase price of the new vehicle. So they figure new vehicle or the price you pay for it you want to use it.
Great question. Yep. So the quote I have here in front of us, we're going to get to the settlement option in just a moment. This is total loss replacement. When you have a brand new RV, we can offer total loss replacement coverage, and they want to assign a specific value to the insurance policy with total loss replacement. They want us to assign that purchase price, what you paid for the motorhome, including sales tax and registration. That's what they define as the purchase price. I'll get into those settlement options. There's 3 settlement options we'll get to here in just a minute. Great, that's a great question. But that's what they define as your purchase price. They want to know what you paid for your RV, not the MSRP, and not the market value, what you paid on your bill of sale from the dealership, including sales tax and registration. We'll get to that, more details on that total loss replacement coverage in just a little bit. But does that answer your question? Okay. Liability, though, bodily injury, property damage is if you, again, injure someone else or damage their vehicle. Uninsured motorist, a pretty standard coverage. If someone injures you and they don't have insurance or they don't have enough insurance, this is going to pay for your medical and hospital bills or any ongoing pain and suffering that you sustain. You can see the premiums on these to the right-hand side. Premium on bodily injury and uninsured motorist is usually very inexpensive. It's usually not very expensive, so we really recommend higher liability limits, especially on a larger motorhome. All right, $250, $500, $100 here is what we usually recommend. It's very cheap, very inexpensive. Medical payments, again, that's additional coverage for you and any of your passengers if you're injured in an accident, whether someone else injured you or maybe it was you're just in an accident and no other vehicles are involved. That medical payments is going to just help pay towards some of your initial hospital and medical expenses. All right, and then comprehensive and collision. This is where you can see the premium line items on this quote. This is where most of the premium is going to come from for a motorhome policy, is physical damage to your RV. Comprehensive, again, is damage to your vehicle, usually while it's stationary. So think about fire, theft, vandalism, wind, hail. If you hit an animal in the road, that's usually a comprehensive claim. And then collision is going to be what it sounds like. You back up the RV and hit a pole or a tree you didn't see. You turn a corner too sharply and scrape a guardrail. Someone else hits you. Those are collision claims, right? You'll see, look on comprehensive and collision, in the middle column under limits, you'll see the settlement option. We have total loss replacement. So I want to pause here and talk about 3 settlement options that we offer. That first option is total loss replacement, and that is only available on a brand new RV, a current model year or one prior, so a 2023 or a 2022 model year RV, and you have to be the original owner. So there's some hoops you have to jump through, some qualifications for this total loss replacement coverage. But the beauty of this coverage is if in a total loss, the insurance company, they're not just going to pay you the current market value, they're going to go out and buy you a brand new RV of the same make and model. So if you have a 2023 RV and it's totaled next year, they're going to buy you a 2024 brand new motorhome. Or in the next year after that, they're going to buy you a 2025. They're going to better you than what you had. That's the beauty of this total loss replacement coverage that we can offer. Again, there's some stipulations. You have to be the original owner, and it's only available in the first or second model year. But it's a great coverage to have. It's usually not very much extra in the premium, and it's available. It lasts for 5 model years is how long the coverage lasts on your policy. But again, it's only available. You can only purchase that coverage when your RV is the current model year or one prior. So that's settlement option number 1 is total loss replacement. And again, to value that, they would use your purchase price, including sales tax and registration, is how we would determine the insurance value. Total loss replacement, that's settlement option number 1 in a total loss. Settlement option number 2 is going to be called actual cash value, or ACV for short. That's going to be your typical auto policy. Actual cash value is just going to pay you the current market value for your vehicle at the time of the loss. If you don't know your RV's current market value, a great resource is jdpower.com. jdpower.com. It's a free resource. You can look up really any vehicle, RVs, boats, motorcycles. You can plug in the year, make, and model, even the mileage, and then your floor plan, and you can generate a range of values in today's market. And that's essentially what we would look to insure your RV for actual cash value. We would have a discussion with you of what do you think your RV's worth? Have you made any improvements to the RV? Because we would still assign a value to your policy, even if it's actual cash value, so you know at least what they would pay out. They would pay up to the value. It is subject to depreciation, actual cash value is. So as the years go on and your RV does depreciate, you're not guaranteed that value, but at least you know what value it's insured for, and you have a resource at jdpower.com is a great resource to look up your RV's current market value. So, yep.
What do insurance companies do when, like Winnebago changes models and drops models? So if I had an Adventure
Right.
in 2021 and I totaled it in 2023, that model is not available anymore.
Correct, yep.
How do they adjust for, okay, I'm going to go to this model?
Sure. So in that first example, that total loss replacement is, I think, where your question would apply. If they don't make your floor plan anymore, they would find you the closest possible to what you had. So another Class A, if you had a Class A, another Winnebago Class A, that's never been owned, that's never been titled. They can't guarantee they're going to get you the exact same color, the exact same floor plan. They're going to try to find as close as possible to what you had for that option number 1, total loss replacement, to get you that brand new motorhome.
Okay.
Yep.
Who decides this is close or not?
The insurance company would work with you to find that motorhome. You have a certain amount of time before you can make that decision to replace it. I forget if it's 30 or 60 days. You have a certain amount of time to work with them to find a new RV. Yep, to find that replacement. But they're going to go pay, Progressive would pay for the new motorhome, for the sales tax on that as well, to get you in that new RV. Yeah, but Progressive, the insurance companies would go and look for RVs on sale on the market that have never been owned. Yeah.
I got into that with State Farm.
Okay.
go for a motorcycle. I would ride a BMW.
Sure.
I told them BMW, and they sent me a picture of a Harley and said, this is the same bike.
Huh.
I said, no,
Yeah.
not
And
acceptable.
and we can sometimes offer, even on motorcycle insurance, they sometimes offer replacement costs, where again, they would go out and buy you a brand new bike. But again, there's qualifications there, but otherwise, without that replacement cost, they're just gonna write you a check for whatever the book value is at the time usually. Yep. So we have total loss replacement, actual cash value is settlement option number 2, the current market value. Option number 3 is agreed value. Agreed value, think of like a classic car policy. Agreed value in a total loss, the company is going to agree to pay you a specific amount stated on the policy. And it will say agreed value right on the policy. On the quote or on your declarations page, it would say agreed value and it would say the value. And then in a total loss, even if the book value says your vehicle's worth here, but we have it insured for up here, they're still going to pay you the value stated on the policy. Agreed value, it guards against depreciation over time. That's a personal decision. Do you want to pay more for agreed value? Is that something that's important to you? Have you made a lot of upgrades to your RV? Have you added solar panels and lithium to add some significant value that you want to make sure is adequately covered in the total loss? Those are all things we can have a discussion if you want that agreed value coverage where you think your RV should have a higher value than what the market value says it's worth. Or you can get agreed value even if maybe you just want that peace of mind. There are some hoops you have to jump through with agreed value. We need documentation, a bill of sale or an appraisal dated within the last 2 years usually to support the value. The insurance companies don't allow us just to go assign a value on the policy for agreed value without documentation because they're on the hook. Your policy contract would require them to pay that full value on the policy in a total loss. So they want documentation and usually photos to support how did we arrive at that value. With that documentation though, we can offer that agreed value, and we can always quote agreed value and see what the cost and the premium would be different than an actual cash value quote and see if that makes sense for you for agreed value versus actual cash value coverage. Agreed value we can offer on any year of an RV. Whether you're the original owner or it's a 20, 30, 40-year-old RV, we can offer agreed value, but it's just that supporting documentation that you would have to obtain to purchase an agreed value policy. But again, agreed value, that's going to come with just a higher premium because the company's on the hook to pay out that. And so that's just one of the decisions that we try and have as far as what coverage is important and how important is the price and what you want to spend. Those are the 3 settlement options in the total loss. I'd encourage you to, if you don't know, find out what settlement option you have on your RV today. You have one of those 3. It should specifically state it on your declarations page what option you have. If it doesn't state anything, you probably have actual cash value. You probably just have just the standard value. Have a conversation with your agent, with your company, and if they can't answer what you have, then it's that's probably you want to look maybe to switch or find someone that understands what settlement option you have. But find out what settlement option you have. If they assign a value to your RV, I encourage you guys to find that out. Any questions? Yeah.
Are you talking the unit itself or the unit itself and content?
Good question. Right now we're just talking the unit itself and any permanently attached equipment. Not contents. Yep, we'll get to contents here in just a bit, but yep, just the unit itself and any permanently attached equipment in a total loss. All right. Right next to the comprehensive, you'll see there's a 0 deductible for the windshield. This is one of the most common claims we see, and we're not just talking about a chip or a crack. We're talking about a complete replacement of the windshield. Those aren't expensive, but they're the most common claims. Your windshield is always covered under your comprehensive deductible. On this quote, it's $1,000, but for usually not much extra, you can buy a 0 deductible for the windshield. So then you don't have to pay anything out of pocket, and the company will replace the windshield for free at no cost to you if you need a new windshield. So that's for motorhomes, this is a great coverage to have. We at least try and offer that so you know it's available. Getting down then into included with comprehensive and collision. Mexico coverage, if you go into Mexico, have a separate conversation with us about that. That's a little bit more complicated. There is coverage into Mexico for physical damage, but you need Mexico liability as well. That's kind of a separate conversation if you're going into Mexico. Fire department service. Most companies include this, but if you have a claim and the fire department has to come out and they assess you a fee, the insurance company will help pay some of that fire department fee is all. Disappearing deductibles. This is a great one. They will lower the deductibles, the comprehensive and collision, each year that you don't make a claim by a certain amount. Progressive will reduce your deductibles by 25%. So again, that's not your premium, what you're paying, it's the deductibles. So year one, if you start at 1,000 deductibles and go a year without a claim, your deductibles are then at $750. That's 25% of 1,000, right? Year two, your deductibles are down to $500 without a claim. If you go 4 years without a claim, your deductibles are down to $0. If you have a claim, they would reset back to where they started, but that's a bonus. Progressive and our insurance companies, they'll usually include that to some degree in every insurance policy, a disappearing deductible feature. Vacation liability is the next one. It's kind of a confusing term, but this is a campsite liability. So when your RV's parked here at the rally grounds, if someone came over and hit their head on your awning or tripped over your fire ring at night, I even had someone that asked me about, what about my mobility scooter? And I was told by Progressive that vacation liability would cover their mobility scooter on the campground while they're driving that around if they were liable on their mobility scooter. So that's extra campsite liability if someone's injured around on your campsite while the RV is parked. You can see premium there too. That's very inexpensive. It's really cheap coverage to have, that vacation or campsite liability. All right, replacement cost on personal effects. This is the contents. Personal effects is the next one. This is items you bring into the RV that are not permanently attached. So think about electronics you bring in, pots and pans, cooking and camping equipment, clothing you have inside the RV with you, even bikes that you may carry with you. This is going to cover your contents. Your homeowner's policy may provide some coverage. There's probably a higher deductible on your homeowners, so you can have a conversation with your homeowners. But especially if you're full-time in your RV, but again, you can see that's very minimal in price, the contents coverage, and only a $100 deductible would apply for the contents, a much lower deductible for the personal effects. Next to the last two coverages, pest damage protection, that's a unique one that Progressive has just rolled out within the last few years. So think about when your RVs, specifically if it's in storage over months on end, you have birds, rats, mice, insects, squirrels, other critters get in, chew up the wiring or damage the RV. That's oftentimes not covered by your insurance company. Again, ask your insurance company if you're not sure, but this is an extra endorsement Progressive just rolled out with for coverage for that exact situation. $10,000 of coverage is usually only $18 a year. There's a specific there's a specific model year of when you qualify, but I believe it's up to like 8 model years old is when your RV can qualify. And it's only in certain states, but again, just have a conversation with us if that's available in your state for your RV. Very inexpensive coverage, but again, have a conversation if you don't know if that's covered under your current policy or not. Damage to the RV from critters or pests. And then roof protection is a new coverage. Now this roof protection, your roof is always covered from a sudden occurrence. We talked about insurance is going to cover a sudden loss. A hailstorm on your roof, that's going to be covered under comprehensive. Or a tree falls on the RV, that will be covered under your comprehensive policy portion. The roof protection is endorsement for wear and tear to the roof. We talked about insurance usually does not cover wear and tear, but that's what this endorsement is buying, is wear and tear to the roof. For example, we've had situations where if there's a leak in the seal on top of the roof and water starts to get in through the leak slowly over time, and you probably wouldn't notice it, but eventually causes some significant damage, the insurance would usually not cover that. That's general maintenance. That's wear and tear. You need to keep the seals, just generally maintained and per your, the manufacturer's recommendation, right, of keeping that maintained. But that does happen. And we've seen that, and this is an endorsement for if there is wear and tear to the roof and there's damage, this would provide coverage for the roof and any subsequent damage. That is available here too. That roof protection plus for wear and tear. Any questions on the coverages? Otherwise, those I did have a few notes for full-timers. I know we have a full-timers here, but we offer some specialized other coverages for full-timers. You can schedule personal effects. I don't think you can with National General, but with Progressive and Nationwide, you can schedule contents. So if you have a valuable, like a piece of jewelry or a firearm or valuables that you're carrying with you, you can schedule those. And then there's a separate liability, personal liability. When you don't own a home anymore, you lose your personal liability coverage. Our full-timers policy would buy back personal liability that you would want to have. And if you ever had an umbrella policy, you would need personal liability to qualify for an umbrella policy. Full-timers too, we talked about that usage on page 2. A lot of our companies do qualify full-timers as if you use the RV more than 150 days a year. I know that's a very large bucket, but that's a general catch-all bucket. Not all of our companies, but most of our companies consider using the RV more than 150 days out of the year. We would typically rate you as full-time. Now that's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean your insurance is going to double. It just means you'd have appropriate coverage, and then just have a discussion with you on what that would look like. But that's kind of the general definition of full-time, is if you're in the RV and using it more than 150 days out of the year. A few other notes. E-bikes. E-bikes are a little different, insuring those, than a regular bike. Your regular bike can be covered under your homeowner's policy or covered under our contents, the personal effects. That is usually not the case with a motorized vehicle. If you have a golf cart or a mobility scooter or an e-bike, they have a motor, whether they're gas or electric. They're at least assisted by a motor, and they need their own insurance if you want them covered for liability, or specifically theft is going to be the big one. We offer a specific policy for e-bikes similar to a golf cart. You wouldn't cover your golf cart for physical damage on your RV policy or on your homeowner's policy. That you need separate coverage for physical damage for your golf cart or your e-bike. If that's something you want to quote on, we can provide quotes on that too. If you have an umbrella policy, you may need some coverage for your e-bike or your golf cart to meet your umbrella policy requirement. Yeah. About what? Your wheelchair, is it motorized? Does it have a motor on it? Okay. That's something you might just want to look into. Sure. So just have a conversation for physical damage. If you're not concerned with physical damage, you don't have to insure it if you're not concerned about it getting stolen or damaged. So e-bikes usually aren't registered for road use. Golf carts, medical wheelchairs, you're usually not required to insure those. That's more of a personal decision. Do I want to insure this? Is this enough of an investment that I want to insure, and how much would it cost? But again, we'd rather have that conversation with you than you assume it's covered and then something does happen and you find out it's not covered. But so in general, we see a lot of questions about e-bikes, but e-bikes specifically, or any motorized vehicle, would typically need its own insurance policy, or have a conversation with your agent, with your company, about how that's covered. That about does it. Again, we offer much more than just RV insurance. We can always bundle home, autos, motorcycles, boats, umbrellas. Yeah.
We got our insurance here done.
Sure.
Should we have it with you to see if we're still with the right company?
You can always give us a call, and yep, you can have that conversation. Usually the best time to ask if you're still getting the best rate or the best coverage is on the renewal. That's oftentimes the best time to shop. We can shop anytime, your insurance, and review your policy with you anytime though. Give us a call and we're happy to go over coverages, and we can look at our other companies to see what's available. So we're happy to look at that. Yep.
If we have trouble with the insurance, not that insurance companies ever balk,
Yeah.
y'all go to bat for us.
We try to, yep. So we have a claims manager in our agency that can go to bat if you need extra assistance. That's something we try and bring to the table. If there's miscommunication between you and the adjuster, or you're not hearing back, or if the claim isn't being settled to your expectations, we have a claims manager as a resource. Usually the claims go fine, and you can call the company and the claim goes as expected. And usually we can't get involved in every single insurance claim that we have, but yes, we have that as a resource. A claims manager. At our agency. So that's about all I have today. I think our booth is open until 4 o'clock. If you haven't requested a quote on a form, feel free to stop by or give us a call. I think we have the booth open tomorrow until noon, and we're just down the street here, up the street. So I certainly appreciate you guys coming out today, and let us know if we can help you with anything else. I have business cards too if you want a business card, but yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.